Thank you for listening to the show on Really Big Something Channel. April 12th, 2018.
The Kuhner Report is powered by Kelly Financial Services. Cleaning up your financial bull. Get the peace of mind that you deserve at Kelly Financial Services.
What should Trump do about Robert Mueller? Okay, my friends, stunning new developments. Listen now to this. The American Civil Liberties Union now actually celebrates the FBI's raid on Trump's lawyer, Michael Cohen. So I want you to think about this. Here is the ACLU, whose ostensible mission for the last 50 years has been to defend civil liberties and privacy rights here in the United States. And in a stunning reversal, to show you how desperate they are to bring this president down, the ACLU has now come out with an official written statement saying that they completely support Robert Mueller's decision to coordinate with the FBI to raid Michael Cohen's home, office, and makeshift hotel room, where we are now finding out even more explosive revelations. So listen to this. They took all of his emails between himself as the attorney and Trump as his client. All of their emails have now been seized. All of their documents, all of their privileged communications, tax records, bank records, everything, business documents, all of it have now been seized. And as my latest column points out, this strikes at the very heart of the attorney-client privilege, a sacred right that in the Anglo-American world literally goes back centuries. This violates the attorney-client privilege. This violates the Fourth Amendment against unreasonable searches and seizures, and this clearly violates the civil liberties and the privacy rights not only of Michael Cohen, the lawyer, but of President Trump himself. And as I speak to you right now, many of you are probably wondering, well, what's happened to all those documents? Very simple. They have now been handed over to an FBI agent, a tool of both Christopher Wray, the current FBI director, in coordination with Robert Mueller. And this FBI agent's job is to meticulously, line by line, pore over and examine every piece of document that has now been confiscated in search of any possible crime. They are now looking, obviously, for financial dealings, land deals, financial transactions, maybe potential money laundering, violation of tax laws. They're going to now see if they can find any technicality or any illegal act that they can use to impeach the President of the United States. And in theory, the justification for the raid is to examine the $130,000 payment that was issued by Michael Cohen to Stormy Daniels, the former washed-up porn star, who accused President Trump of having a sexual affair, a one-night stand, 12 years ago at an event in Lake Tahoe. And so she was paid $130,000 by Michael Cohen, and now Mueller and the FBI are now claiming that this could have violated campaign finance reform laws and maybe even committed bank fraud. So we have gone from Russia collusion and whether Trump colluded with Vladimir Putin to allow the Russians to meddle in our election and steal the election allegedly from Hillary Clinton, now to, I'm not kidding, hush payments to a porn star about a consensual sex one-night stand that took place 12 years ago, when Trump was a private citizen. This is how far they have fallen. But now the New York Times reports a new dramatic bombshell revelation. So according to the New York Times, listen to this. One of the reasons for the raid on Michael Cohen's office and home, one of the reasons why they were seizing the documents, is that Mueller and the FBI want to look deeper into the Access Hollywood tape. Remember that infamous Billy Bush tape where I believe it was in 2005? Again, what is it? That's 13 years ago. Trump was bragging about grabbing women, by the pee, where? Well, apparently they think that maybe Trump in private, in communications with his lawyer, whether through emails or conversations that were then were recorded for the record by his lawyer, that they're hoping that Trump may have actually named a woman, and where he admits that he did grab her by the pee. In other words, they're hoping to find a crime. They're fishing. This is a massive fishing expedition. So now what it shows is, to me, two things. And this is really the essence of my column, which hopefully we're going to have posted very soon on wrko.com/Kuhner, Kuhner. Essentially now, here is what we're staring at. We are staring at an out-of-control, rogue prosecutor who now has gone so beyond the reasonable scope of his mandate, so beyond Russia collusion, that we're now talking about not only hush payments to a porn star, a non-disclosure agreement, which, by the way, happens in this country hundreds of thousands of times a day for all kinds of reasons. And now they want to dig into an infamous tape to see if Trump, maybe in private to his lawyer, said, you know what? I did grab this whatever, Jane Doe by the you-know-where. And they can say, aha, sexual assault. Let's impeach the president. What this shows is that Mueller is a paid assassin. His job is to go and destroy and bring down the President of the United States. His job is not an honest search for justice. It is not an honest search for the truth, because if it was, he wouldn't be going after Access Hollywood tapes and washed up porn stars. He'd be showing us the evidence about Vladimir Putin, the Kremlin, and so-called collusion. Which brings me now to my ultimate point. The mother of all points, as Saddam Hussein would have put it. He has nothing. It is now obvious, beyond the shadow of a doubt, that Robert Mueller has nothing on Russia, nothing on Putin, nothing on collusion. Or else, why would he be fishing? He's fishing because this is an investigation in search of a crime. And so now, the question is, what will President Trump do? He is now coming under tremendous pressure from both Republicans and Democrats. And as I lay out in my column, Republicans and Democrats have now sponsored legislation in the Senate, in Congress, that would essentially make it almost impossible for Trump to fire Mueller. And not only that, leading Republicans, never mind Democrats, Chuck Schumer has already said, you fire Mueller, we impeach. Nancy Pelosi has said, you fire Mueller, we impeach. They're going to argue that is obstruction of justice. More importantly, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, the chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, Chuck Grassley, John McManiac, lay down and love me, Lindsey Graham, Marco Rubio, Little Marco, John Cornyn, the senator from Texas, Susan Collins, the senator from Maine, I could go on, have now directly told the White House If you fire Robert Mueller, we will join the Democrats and we will impeach you. The Wall Street Journal, in their lead editorial, are now telling the president, whatever you do, you have to take it from Mueller on the chin. Do not fire him, because that will spark a firestorm and it will lead to your impeachment. So the Republican establishment is now siding with this out-of-control rogue prosecutor in his war that he has now launched against the President of the United States. So I want you to think about the scenario that we are now staring at, okay? Because this is exactly the way it is. Robert Mueller is the deep state's stake that they are now aiming at the heart of this president. And what the Republican establishment, the Democrats, the media, many on the so-called right, what do you want to call them? The conservative establishment, the Wall Street Journal editorial page, even many voices on Fox News, are now telling the president, when he comes in, when this assassin comes right into your door, into your Oval Office, and he wants to put that knife right into your heart, don't stop him. Let him do it. Because if you try to stop him, then it's going to be the Republicans and the Democrats who are going to stick that knife right into your heart. In other words, as I lay it out in my column, Trump is going to get impeached. It's no longer a question of if. It's now only a question of when. Mueller will find some technicality. And I said this to Brittany in our pre-show meeting. I said, Brittany, the federal code is so big. There are so many laws and regulations now on the books that if you want to nail somebody, if you have a special prosecutor targeting somebody, breathing down their neck, whether it's you, me, Mother Teresa, they're going to get you on something. Did you pay a few pennies less in your taxes? To all of you small business owners out there, every contract you did, was that 100% above board? You never cut a few corners here and there because of the ridiculous red tape and bureaucratic regulations? You're dealing with the conservation or the environmentalists around you, never had to cut a few corners to make a deal? They're going to get Trump a multi-billionaire, a real estate developer. They're going to get him on something, anything. He's going to get impeached. And what the Republicans are now telling the president is they want Mueller to be able to pull the trigger. Because deep down, and this is the dirty secret in Washington, the Republicans despise Trump almost as much as the Democrats. They hate his America First agenda. Because deep down, they're part of the globalist swamp that has been selling this country down the river for the last 25 years. They are beholden to the donor class. And so what the president now needs to do, and this is what I am strongly urging him in this column and also through private communications. As I say in my column, Mr. President, you need to kill your enemies before they kill you. Because this is now a political death struggle to the finish. And so what I believe the president needs to do, act now before it's too late. Fire Jeff Sessions, who should never have recused himself, opening the door for the appointment of Robert Mueller. Rod Rosenstein and Robert Mueller, those two swamp snakes, need to be fired as well. They are out to poison his presidency. Fire Sessions, fire Rosenstein, fire Mueller, and then address the American public in a nationally televised address and explain to them that this is a slow-motion coup d'etat by the deep state who wanted to reverse the election of November 2016 and whose goal has been to topple this president from power using any and all means. Expose Mueller's egregious abuses of power. Go around Congress, circumvent the establishment, and go straight to the voters and straight to the people. And then tell Congress, I have the American people on my side. You want to impeach? Go ahead. Make my day. My friends, my column is now officially up. I am urging all of you, please, we've got to get the message out. Go to wrko.com/Kuhner, Kuhner. Click on menu, Kuhner's Corner. It is right there. Trump must fire Mueller. Please read it and pass it on to as many friends, family members, and colleagues as possible. The question before the House: should Trump fire Mueller? And what happened to the ACLU? This group is now championing the blatant assault on the civil liberties, privacy, and Fourth Amendment rights of Michael Cohen and the president himself. What should Trump do? 617-266-6868. Your calls next. 1225 here on the great WRKO. Okay, my friends, the president now being urged by many conservatives like myself to pull the trigger and fire Robert Mueller. However, many people are also telling the president it will spark impeachment. It will lead to a public firestorm. Don't do it. What should the president do? Lines are loaded. Warren in Weston, you're up first. Go ahead, Warren.
Hi, Jeff.
Hi.
This is one of the biggest ironies of American history. Let me lay it out for you. If they impeach Trump with what they've done, they basically invalidate Nixon's impeachment, so to speak. In other words, by breaking into Trump's lawyer's office and getting the papers that they want, they're repeating what Nixon did in breaking into a lawyer's office and getting the Pentagon papers. Remember how the media went on and on about the missing 14 minutes on Nixon's tape. What about all the stuff that Hillary scrubbed? If they impeach Trump based on this, they're invalidating Nixon's impeachment. Do you see what I'm saying?
Warren, are you nervous?
A little.
Oh, okay, yeah, because you're breathing a little bit heavy.
Oh,
You have
sorry.
no, it's okay. You have no reason to be nervous. You're very smart, very articulate. You made an absolutely brilliant point. You really don't need to be nervous because you're doing phenomenal.
Well, thank you.
No, Warren, look, I completely agree with you. You make brilliant points. They got Nixon for a third-rate burglary, essentially, and the cover-up of a third-rate burglary. And more than that, look at Hillary Clinton. They let her get away with crime after crime after crime after crime. So the double standard here is stunning. I would just ask you this, as an obviously well-educated, well-informed individual. What the left would argue is that this was done with the approval, they had a warrant, with the approval of the Southern District in New York. So they're claiming that, yes, it's extraordinary, it's very unique, it's very unusual. Even mob bosses, even war criminals have never had their lawyers' confidential, privileged information and documents seized in a raid. That's how extraordinary it is. But they would say it has the backing of the law. What Nixon did not have the backing of the law. What do you say to that argument?
Two things. Number one, what Nixon did was political espionage, and that's been going on since Jefferson entered office in 1800. And just because you do a crime under the pretense of legality doesn't make it legal.
Bingo.
And if I were you, Jeff, I would do a column on this because I think this is a forensic case against what they're trying to do. And you just have to hold it right up in front of their face when they're trying to impeach Trump, that what they're doing is a deja vu repetition of what the Democrats did to impeach, so to speak, Nixon.
Warren, is this the first time you've ever called a show?
Yes.
Do me a favor. Don't be a stranger. Please call again. Phenomenal call.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that call, Warren. Look, as I lay out in my column, what Mueller and the deep state are now doing is they are now weaponizing law enforcement to destroy their political enemies. That's what the ultimate significance of the raid on Michael Cohen's office is. It is now the sheer weaponization of the FBI and law enforcement to now destroy anybody that they politically want to bring down. And that's why, as I say, this should chill and frighten every citizen of the United States. Because if they can do this to the President of the United States, the leader of the free world, they can do it to you, to Brittany, to me, to anybody. The president now must take his stand, not just for his political survival, but for the defense of our democracy and our constitutional republic. Fire 'em all. 617-266-6868. More with your calls. And you're not going to believe who actually sides with me on this. Very interesting. But first, President Trump says he will be deciding on a course of action with Syria very soon. Evan Heidenrich is in the WRKO newsroom. He has all of those details. Take it away, Evan.
Thank you for listening to the show on Really Big Something Channel.
1237 here on the great WRKO. Okay, my friends, I have a very important column up. It has just been posted, what, Brittany, maybe 15 minutes ago? Trump must fire Mueller. I lay out the entire case against Mueller, how egregious his actions were to be raiding the office of Trump's personal lawyer, what the stakes are and how high they are, and why, if the president does not move now or soon, his political days are numbered. Go to WRKO.com/Kuhner, Kuhner. Please go to menu. You click on Kuhner's Corner, and then there's my column, Trump must fire Mueller. Please read it. And on Facebook, Twitter, wherever, Instagram, I don't know what social media platforms you use, please get the message out. What is interesting? Alan Dershowitz, Professor Emeritus at Harvard Law School, a longtime liberal and a longtime civil libertarian, has come out blasting Mueller and Mueller's decision to coordinate with the FBI to raid Michael Cohen's office. And now listen to Alan Dershowitz. He and I politically don't see eye to eye on much, but on civil liberties, on the Fourth Amendment, on fundamental privacy rights, especially attorney-client privilege, he and I are ideological soulmates. Listen now to Alan Dershowitz tell everybody what people around Trump are afraid to tell him. This is a fishing expedition, and the special counsel's powers have become so big and so out of control that if he wants to manufacture a crime, if he wants to get you, he'll get you. Roll it, Brittany.
You can find evidence to create or manufacture crimes against anybody if you're determined to do it. That's what's the special counsel, because they come in with targets painted on people's back. And people like Comey and people like Mueller are going to find crimes, whether they have to go and try to find a technical violation of banking laws on which they can hook pornography stars or things of that kind. And even your account, which was obviously metaphorical in part, proves again If you're determined to find crimes against anybody, you can do it. That's why we have to restrict and limit the application of the criminal law to clear, unequivocal crimes, and don't use it against political enemies unless the evidence is just overwhelming.
Bingo. Bingo. I mean, here you have a man of the left who up until now was a widely respected man of the left, an arch liberal, hell, a Hillary supporter. He voted for Hillary Clinton in 2016. A professor emeritus at Harvard, highly respected, and now he has become mud in the eyes of CNN, MS Left BC, the New York Times, because his defense of the president has now become verboten. But you see, he's not defending the president. He's defending the Constitution, Dershowitz is. He's defending the Bill of Rights. He's defending the rule of law. And what he's saying is, what the Democrats and Mueller and the deep state are engaged in is a version, as I point out in my column, of what Stalin's henchman, Lavrenti Beria, famously said. When Stalin said, I want to get this guy or I want to get that guy, Beria just said, vozhd, the boss. Show me the man, and I'll show you the crime. Which now begs the question, why was Mueller even allowed to engage in this kind of prosecutorial misconduct and flagrant abuse of power? Why? Ultimately, because Rod Rosenstein signed off on the raid. Rod Rosenstein appointed Robert Mueller. Rod Rosenstein was the man who was engaged in the conspiracy, the illegal conspiracy, to abuse the FISA court system, to spy on candidate Trump and then President-elect Trump. If there's one person who has a blatant conflict of interest, it's Rod Rosenstein. So listen now to longtime Washington attorney Joe DeGeneva now openly say, what is Sessions waiting for? He needs to fire Rosenstein. The quicker, the better. Roll it, Brittany.
You can find evidence to create...
That's Dershowitz.
I find this raid of Mr. Cohen's office so appalling in every sense, legal, ethical, professional responsibility. What Rod Rosenstein and Bob Mueller have done is weaponize in an unconstitutional way the criminal investigation process, which should be sacrosanct. And what they have done is they have conducted and are conducting now something that is called an in terrorem grand jury. They are using a grand jury to terrorize people. That is an abuse of power. Mr. Rosenstein is responsible for it. And while I agree with Alan wholeheartedly that Mr. Rosenstein cannot possibly ethically participate in this, it will make no difference to him because he now has an animus toward the President of the United States, which disqualifies him from the performance of his duties, and Jeff Sessions should fire him tomorrow morning.
All right. Amen, brother. Amen. 617-266-6868. John in Needham. You're up next. Go ahead, John.
Hi, Jeff. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, John?
Good. The president has the power of the people. You said it earlier on your show with him. What he needs to do, first of all, fire all of these people. Then immediately go on these rallies, as many as he can have, 50 of them if he can have them. And it should be called a fireside chat kind of thing without the fire. But he should tell the truth about what's happening in this country, things like freedom of speech is under attack. If you disagree with the left, you're verbally abused, fired, or whatever. In colleges, you can't even speak there. Sometimes you're physically abused. Christianity is under attack. Now the FBI and the IRS and the Department of Justice have become thugs for the government. No one is safe. They can break down your door. We're becoming Germany in the 30s or China under Mao in the 50s. And I need your help. More importantly, America needs your help at the elections coming up in 2012. I mean, if I could go along with him, there wouldn't be a Democrat elected for 1,000 years. Just speak the truth. You know how the left always scares you with the granny going over the cliff? We're going to scare them with the truth. They all know all of this stuff is happening. How evil that left, the Democrats are, and half of the Republicans are. He needs to take it on tour. Forget about the jobs. Don't talk about that stuff. Talk about what's happening to this country, the illegal immigration. I'm trying to stop the drugs and criminals from coming over, and they keep telling me no. So forth and so on. You understand what I'm saying? I could go
so,
on
John, your advice essentially is don't bother firing people. Just rally the American people behind you. Have a nationally televised address and essentially say, look, they're trying to overthrow me from power. This is essentially a slow motion coup. And they're blocking me or they're trying to prevent me from doing what I was elected to do. And I need your support. Come out and vote this November like you've never voted before in your life.
More than that, America needs your help, not me. You know, not the president. America needs to survive, or we're going to be a fascist country. But you got to say all of these things first, and it's got to be done at rallies, not at national televised event. It's got to be rally after rally after rally, and once the Democrats start seeing all of that, and the people calling their offices and so forth, they'll back off of everything. That's what I believe.
John, thank you very much for that call. Interesting, very interesting. So basically now, he's got to go into campaign mode. In other words, look, forget the White House, the Oval Office, forget what's going on in the swamp. Just go rally after, like a campaign. And just gin up support. So he's got his people behind him for the impending, look, it's going to be an impending conflict, an impending clash. I mean, it's coming. So we're going to be plunged into a constitutional crisis. Once the Democrats impeach, there's going to be a constitutional crisis. So basically mobilize your troops and get them ready for the coming showdown. Interesting. Annie and Chelsea, you're up next. Go ahead, Annie.
Hello?
Annie, how are you?
From Chelsea Co. Hey, Jeff, I really love your show.
Thank you, Annie.
And this is why. If you know Kuhner like I know Kuhner, oh, what a guy. He speaks his mind, and that's just fine. Oh, what a guy. He's no one's puppet, and we all just love it. Kuhner is our guy.
Annie, wow, thank you. Brittany, we got to put that in a promo, my friend. Annie, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Don't get me wrong, I only have eyes for my wife. But I love you in a non-sexual way. Tom in New Jersey, you're up next. Go ahead, Tom.
Thank you, Jeff. God bless you so much.
Welcome, Tom.
Jeff,
welcome.
Thank you. Jeff, when it comes to the Second Amendment, there's the marksman, the sharpshooter, and the expert. You're the expert. You laid that out so beautifully today, what Donald Trump should do. You must be guided by the Holy Spirit. I'm sure you are.
Thank you. I hope so. Thank you.
You bet. Jeff, I have like 6 reasons why this entire prosecution should be quashed. I'll go through them quickly. It starts off with fraud, deceit, unclean hands, conspiracy, thuggish tactics, police state tactics. See, Jeff, they can't clean the prosecution. When it starts, our legal system, when it starts filthy dirty like that, it goes out. The whole thing goes out. You can't clean it when it starts off so filthy and dirty. The FBI filled with bad actors, a fraud on the FISA court, a conviction of Michael Flynn under extreme duress, a conspiracy to unseat a duly elected president. He's got to see, Jeff, the wolf is at the door. He either fights now or he waits until the wolf is like in his bathroom, in his living room, and on his dining room table. There's a whole host of attorneys that say he should get rid of this right now. And you know what, Jeff? That punk porno attorney, Avenatti, he tipped his hand. He said there's more raids coming. This is the Soviet Union reincarnated. We either fight now while we have a chance, or we're doomed, Jeff. Now's the time.
Tom, I agree with you. I couldn't agree with you more. Look, if not us, who? If not now, when? Mr. President, listen to your base. They don't want you to get picked off and die the death of 1,000 cuts. They want you to fight. Start fighting. We have your back.
WRKO.
To fire or not to fire? 12:54 here on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer. Andy from the great state of Nebraska. How are you, Andy? And welcome.
Dobry den, Jim. Sounds like Soviet. This sounds like Soviet Russia, what Robert Mueller's being able to get away with. He gets to, oh, and by the way, don't be shocked at the ACLU did this. They're partisan hacks. They view Trump as worse than the terrorists they defend all the time.
Andy, you're on a roll. I don't mean to cut you off, but yeah, that was Russian for good day. And what else did you say?
That was good afternoon.
Oh, good afternoon. That's right. Yeah, it's Russian for good afternoon.
Russia, doesn't it?
Andy, what do you say to the argument that Trump is being warned by everybody? If you do it, it's going to spark a political firestorm. It's going to lead to your impeachment. The Democrats will claim it's obstruction of justice. Even many Republicans will turn on you. They will oust you from office. It's a red line you cannot cross. What do you say to that argument?
If you want to stake your political career on defending Robert Mueller, who filled his team with deep state Democrat headhunters, this is not at all a fair investigation. Even a number of liberals admit that. If you want to stake your political career and life on that, you want to commit political suicide, be my guest. When your enemies take the gun to their head, don't stop them.
Thank you for that call, Andy.
Thanks.
Arthur in Chestnut Hill, you're up next. Go ahead, Arthur.
You know what my many years of experience have taught me in life about enemies? Whenever they don't want you to do something, it's not good for them. Okay, that's number one. First of all, we know that the Andrew Weissman, okay, that's his name, right?
Yes.
Okay, is probably one of the most unethical attorneys there ever was, and what he did to Anderson and Enron and people who were put out of work and brought to jail. You know where it became undone? The Supreme Court. This is a case that cries out for the Supreme Court. Robert Mueller has no problem with going after innocent people and finding them guilty, okay, and then costing this country hundreds of millions of dollars. How does he even get an opportunity to go after anybody after that track record? And putting 4 men in jail, knowing that they were innocent, that's disgraceful. I mean, the money that they got doesn't even come close to taking their whole life away.
You know, Arthur, I don't want to cut you off because you're on a roll, but I just want to interject because you made a brilliant point. Look, here in Boston, we know who Robert Mueller is, and you touched on it. 4 innocent men that he knew to be innocent, and he allowed them to be sent to jail. And what's worse is after all the exculpatory evidence was there, he still allowed two of them, knowing that they were innocent, to die in jail. That's the kind of bottom feeder Robert Mueller is.
Well, you're right, Jeff. And you know what? There's a place in hell for people like that, and he belongs there. And you know what? The only way, because, we do have a check and balance system of government. It took care of Andrew Weissman's criminal activities, which he should have been in jail for, and now we need to go there again. That's the only place. You can't go to the Congress, and the president should turn around and start the ball rolling by telling his clean house at the Justice Department and the FBI, and turn around and demand that all those things be turned over to the Congress, and then get his lawyers to get this case before a federal judge because of prejudice and all the conflicts of interest, and the fact that these people should never have even started this case because there was never a crime to begin with. So how can you obstruct justice whenever there's never a crime?
Amen. Amen. Arthur, you should be advising him. I'm not kidding. Brilliant advice.
You know what? I mean, sometimes things are so simple that people make it more complicated than it is.
Arthur, thank you very much for that call. Okay, my friends. Coming up next, I'll continue to take your calls, I promise, 617-266-6868. Again, please, I have a very important column out. Trump must fire Mueller. It's been posted for the last 35, 40 minutes. Go to WRKO.com/Kuhner, Kuhner. Click on menu, Kuhner's Corner. There it is. Trump must fire Mueller. I'll continue to take your calls. However, it now appears very likely by this weekend we are going to be having a war in Syria. And now the question is this: was Assad behind the chemical weapons attack? General Mattis, Secretary of Defense, was publicly asked that question. He gave his answer, and it will stun you. Absolutely stun you. That story next.
The voice of Boston is you. On 680 WRKO Boston, an iHeart radio station. It's 1 o'clock.